We're going to try to do this for a half an hour, guys, okay? Non summa samichi. I'm just getting prepped for the show here. We got a lot to talk about. And I want to thank you very much for watching. Non summa samichi, everyone. We are not friends. You want to be a business associate. You want to be friendly. But in case you don't know, your cell phone is weaponized. And they're using this on people and they laugh about it. They think it's funny. People involved in this think it's okay to torture individuals, target individuals, track and trace individuals. And a lot of times what's happening is you're getting tracked and traced by different departments, you could say. Because they're looking for verification that what they're tracking and tracing is correct. Right? So they need that. They, meaning those involved. Okay? So, again, the word America comes from what? Again, they teach you something in school and then you find out it's completely wrong. Why are they doing that? They're doing the same thing in computers. Say you put in the AI, everything's AI now. You put in there that you like sock sandwiches. One program will say that doesn't make any sense. The other program will do this. Well, sock sandwiches, you can't eat sock sandwiches. You can't make a sandwich made out of socks because socks are made out of, and they'll go into this really long explanation. Okay? So there's always two things. We call it a parallel. But guess what? There's a third thing. Okay, I don't want to get into it. We're just dealing with the exoteric and the esoteric. Okay? I talk very fast and I make a lot of mistakes, so you can take me to task in the comments. Okay? I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. You can listen to me at 2.5 while you drive. This is called Surfing the Eggyverse. This is what I'm trying to tell you. I am using their S2K, which is screen to skull, but it's actually skull to screen. It's K2S. I always pronounce it wrong. I say S2K. For some reason, no, that's what it is, S2K. That's K2, that's what I say. Because it's like K2, the mountain, right? It's like, I confuse it. Shut up. But it's true, right? So there's always a parallel. There's the exoteric, and then there's the esoteric. So that's the duality. But there's a third way, the middle pillar, okay? So there's even a third, even more esoteric than esoteric, right? Like I said before, the Kabbalah is esoteric, but it's exoteric, I misspoke last time, to the Clifferoth, right? Because the Kabbalah is the Sephiroth. So Clifferoth is the shadow. The Batin is the shadow to Sufi Islam. It's the shadow. It's the esoteric. It's the second story. Okay? And don't ever forget, there's always a third. We'll get into it. What is America? America is the plumed serpent. This is what I'm here to tell you. The Quetzalcoatl, they call it the plumed serpent. What is the plumed serpent? What is it? You without your glasses. What is it? Sorry you have to look at me. Like I said, listen at 2.5 while you drive, will you? Pretty soon, I'll be doing a lot of things. We're working on LA 2044. I got information about that. I always work on linoleum blown apart, but I told you guys I reached a plateau and I have to do a deep dive. It's going to take me a year to write the novelization to the television series Linoleum Blown Apart. Okay? In the meantime, I forgot that we're just doing the pilot episode of LA 2044. It's just a pilot, guys. Okay? So there's some surprises when it comes to that. All right? So, what's the Quetzalcoatl? What's the plumed serpent? Exoterically and etymologically, through etymology, I study both etymology and gematria isosophy. Okay, I study both. Etymologically, right? Amorica. Amorica. That was actually a Black Crowes record too. There's another definition for it too. And don't ever forget, under every single word, there's usually more than one definition. There's usually some definitions, right? It's like, oh, when you use this word in science, it means this. When you use it as a verb, it means this, right? So again, you're talking about the esoteric and the exoteric of language, and as well as number as well. So what is America? America is the plumed serpent. That's where the term comes from, because the term for plumed serpent is Amorica or Miracu. Now again, I'm not going to write anything out on the board because I don't want to waste anybody's time, okay? What is the plumed serpent? Again, excuse me, we already got one definition, okay? That's why I told you guys in the episode about Trump Vance, finding an anagram for the Trump Vance. Just the names, not Donald, not, whatever Vance's name is. It's their last names. My last name is Ison, I-S-O, means to isolate. I'm always by myself. I'm always by myself, always. I've been by myself since I was a child. Right? I grew up with 4 women in the household, and I learned to be a creative person because I didn't care about this. Because this didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything then, doesn't mean anything now. I'm not ignoring anybody. If it was important, then I would pay attention. This is not important. What's the plumed serpent? What is it? Okay. Quetzalcoatl, America. Right? Okay. What is it? It's a hawk. Hawk, upper body, the wings, head, wings, chest of a hawk. What's the lower body? Of a snake. What's the Quetzalcoatl? The plumed serpent. What is it? It's a hawk head and wings with the lower extremities of a snake. It's a hawk combined with a snake. What's the Quetzalcoatl? What is the plumed serpent? The plumed serpent is America. The plumed serpent is a hawk and a snake. What else is it? What else is the hawk and the snake? What are they? What are they? They're animals, yeah, we got it. We're not animals. Academia might say that we're animals. And the government who what do they call it? It's not, what, plagiarism? The government plagiarizes academia. They're all plagiarists. They're plagiarists because they're using NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. They are programmed through their language that they use. They're taught to use certain words, and that's why they can fire people for plagiarism when they've outused their purposefulness. I was fired from my friends of 30 years. I named those people by name. I was fired. I was let go in 2017. I was told, Gordon, we don't like you. We don't want you to come around, and we don't care about you. As a matter of fact, you can go self-harm. That's what I was told by numerous people, okay? There is no coming back. There's no coming back. All right? You guys are the dross, right? Right? And I am, what? The plumed serpent? Hey, just kidding. What's the plumed serpent? What is it? It's a hawk on top with the wings. Serpent, lower body. You see this a lot. They actually use the lion and the serpent as well, okay? But they can't. It doesn't make any sense. They started bastardizing the plumed serpent. What is the plumed serpent? Plumed serpent means America, Amorica, however you spell it, okay? the plumed serpent, the Quetzalcoatl, right? And yes, it is astrological as well. Okay, but I can't get into that right now. I only study religion and technology, and that's what I do. I use surfing the Eggyverse. That's what I call it. I reverse engineer their skull to screen technology. It is skull to screen. It is not screen to skull. Again, they're saying everything backwards. S2K, screen to skull. Well, that's even scarier. They're telling you what the Google is. And I misspoke about that in other episodes too. It's 10 to the 100th power. That's what it's supposed to be. Okay? It's supposed to be, it's either a 10 or a 1 with a million zeros behind it, whatever. Okay? But they can simplify it. It's 10 to the 100th power. That is the Google. When I told you about the LA fires, I did not research the LA fires. I'm not saying I don't care. I care about human beings. I care about people. I care about animals too, but I care about people more than animals. And material things, I only lost one thing that I really wanted. That was a toy that was bought by my mother. She bought my sister one, and she bought me one, but we didn't get the same thing. It was the best. It was the best. She got hers, and I got mine. She got a witch. Oh, what do I talk about? The three witches. Beep. That is from Macbeth, guys. Who else is one of three witches? You're not going to believe this. Jane Goodall. When Harold Gardner, who is he's a Freemason, so he's a ceremonial magician. I am a warlock. I am a breaker of oaths. I swore an oath to my wife that was broken by her first, but I don't really care. She doesn't matter to me. She could win the lottery, or she could be pushing up daisies. Either way, hey, I'm glad to hear that things are going good for you. I don't care. Right? That's the same thing. Your friends are supposed to be, you've known people for 30 years. Those are supposed to be your friends. I consider people that I meet here to be acquaintances. Right? You see the difference? Non summa amici. What is the plumed serpent? What is it? I'm not going to tell you my toy. I'll tell you the toy in another episode. Okay? Right? It's a symbol of peace. It's a symbol of peace. We come in peace. What else is the Quetzalcoatl? I know you guys are going to just punch the screen. Oh, it'll come right through. Boy, I tell you. What's the Quetzalcoatl? What's the plumed serpent? It is a hawk with a snake. It is the name of America. It is a symbol of peace. Why is it peace? Why is it peaceful? We come in peace. How and how? Oh boy. You guys ever see, what's that guy, Lenny Bruce, do a bit on Tonto? Huh? Yeah, I'm part American Indian. Check out Lenny Bruce's Tonto bit, okay? And Marshall McLuhan was talking about he's questioning, why do they have so many Westerns on TV? And you could see that, I'm not saying one has anything to do with the other, but you have Tarantino. I talk about Tarantino a lot. Okay, I'm a Roger Avery man personally, but that's okay. And that's my little joke, right? He did, in his last thing, he showed a guy who was in Westerns on TV. They were all over the TV, right? And Marshall McLuhan only studied a couple of things. The High Middle Ages, I believe, and Finnegan's Wake, right? Hopefully I'll be able to do my version of Finnegan's Wake when I'm, I don't know, maybe in my 80s, if I make it. My 70s, maybe. These next 10 years are going to be very busy for me. I turn 60 next year, okay? What's the Quetzalcoatl? It's America. What else is it? It's the visual image of a hawk and a snake combined as one animal. Gee, sounds like the Baphomet. Does it not? Does it sound like the Baphomet to you? Yeah, sure does. Right? Sure does. What else is it? Oh, I just said sure does. You guys want to talk about Monty? I like Monty. I like his show. I like what he does. Okay? If you don't know who it is, too bad. You have to figure it out for yourself. You know when he was shooting his mouth off? You know what he said? I couldn't believe it when he said this. I couldn't believe it. He goes, I've never been arrested. I'm like, what? He goes, I've never been arrested. Huh. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I mean? No offense, and I don't wish harm on anybody. Monty thinks he's impervious. I got news for you, Monty. They run ops to steal property. They run ops for numerous reasons. The mayor of Los Angeles was sent to West Africa. She was sent there. She was told to go there. That's why when she came back, she had this big dumb look on her face. Right? What's the plumed serpent? Oh, by the way, I'm 16% Irish from Ireland. And I don't go run around saying that I'm Irish. Now, do I? Does that make any sense? But I'm more Irish than I am West African. Right? You tell me. Racism is fake. It's used by the police department. It's used by social scientists. Are you a sociologist? Why are we putting so much gravitas into these POSs? Because it already all went into AI. HAL. It's HAL. We got, right up here, Linoleum Blown Apart. I'll be writing the novelization to a television series. It's about a Kubrickian director who influences a kid in a punk rock band who happens to have the same birthday as Napoleon. The Kubrickian director is the reason why Stanley Kubrick didn't make Napoleon. Does that sound better as my log line or as my elevator pitch? I'm supposed to have an elevator pitch. All this stuff. Oh, sending out letters of query. Nobody's gonna give me shit. As a matter of fact, they actually gave me a bogus card. I had to go get a card so I could feed myself because I have to feed myself. They gave me a bogus card. Oh, absolutely. Fuck this guy. Oh, sorry. Oh my God, it's just a mistake. You don't know if something's a mistake and you don't know if it's on purpose. And I gave my wife the benefit of the doubt. She's a serial torturer. I suffer permanent neurological damage from what they inflicted. And they were all laughing about it. And they were all with men the size of linebackers. I was tortured at Atelier 4. Ain't that right, Jonathan? Ain't that right, Jonathan? I was tortured there. And you guys, this is who I call, I'm doing a lot of clarification. We're surfing the Eggyverse. I already explained to you that I'm using their tech against them. That's what surfing the Eggyverse is. Okay? And I call people, now when I do my show, LA 2044, and I start talking, and I say, ladies, why you dress like a shit kicker on your way to a country bar? That's dialogue for the episode. For the pilot episode of LA 2044, it's on this side. The other side's what? Linoleum Blown Apart. People are going to blow their minds. And they're fucking, okay? This is the pilot episode, and I'm putting dialogue in it. There's hardly any dialogue in the second draft, rather. LA 2044, there's going to be dialogue. It's a pilot episode. What is the Quetzalcoatl? It's 20 minutes after. Come on, you only have to suffer for a little bit longer. These are the people that I call Frank's Hot Sauce and Clorox bleach rags. Everything I say goes into my properties. How I talk, how I put people down. You understand? Not literally about being tortured through my device. None of that. Just when I say you're about as dumb as a box of rocks and the bag of hammers that broke them. When I say stuff like that. When I say you smell like Frank's Hot Sauce and Clorox bleach rags, I'm putting down one of these guys who hang out in the bar bragging about, how they, worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger one time. That's me. I did that. Hello. I worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I never told anybody. And I was an extra on a set. Right? I worked with Seymour Cassell, who I love. He was in The Soup. He's the reason I moved to New York. Not really, but I told you guys, there's a million things why I broke up my band. Guess how old I was? That's why I call him Frank's Hot Sauce and Clorox Bleach Rags. I was being tortured at Atelier 4. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for nothing. Trash. Yeah, you got to hold the CEO, the owner, responsible. You're responsible for that. I know the guy who did it. He told me his girlfriend knows Bono. I wanted to barf in my fucking mouth. The guy who was torturing me at work, he was ratting out, like my wife did, to either her brother or to some entity connected to the police department and say, crank up the algos on Gordon right now. He's here. Why this guy did this, I never met this guy. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Right? The end of Dr. Strangelove, is it about reincarnation? Could be. That's what Linoleum Blown Apart's about. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when. Right? He had reincarnation at the end of the Stephen King book that he perfected. Just being honest, man. I don't read Stephen King. Don't get me wrong. They made some great films out of his books. He liked the Ramones, right? Right? Ain't that right? 53rd and 3rd. Dee Dee Ramone got queer blowjobs for drug money. Who's one of my favorite bands. So this guy out here, this LGBT guy, he yelled at me. He goes, "We don't want no gay for pay motherfuckers." No, he goes, "We don't want any gay for pay metrosexuals around here." And he looks at me and gives me it's the best. We are the champions, all pun intended. It's the best. I did a show with Marky Ramone. He does duck face when he plays the drums. We did a Ramones tribute show in Las Vegas, and about a week after the show, I got punted in the parking lot. I got jumped and punted. Right? Why? Because they're jealous, sissies, bitches, and snitches. That's what Jimmy Doom is. That's what Lacey is. We never played any shows with the Gories. The Gories suck. Any other Detroit bands that you know? I don't know them. I knew the bands in my fucking milieu. And I also know that Keith the Gerbil from Farmington Hills, I know that he wasn't an original member of Itchy Shock Therapy. You're a replacement, bitch. You're going to be replaced. Make no mistake about that. Right? So that's why I call these guys Frank's Hot Sauce, Clorox Bleach Rags. I'm working with a guy who's torturing me and thinks it's funny to do that. They crush the orthogonal shape, which is what you're watching me on, which is Stanley Kubrick's monolith. You go on Wikipedia, it leads straight to base pairs in your DNA. That's how they got me. They crush my chromosomes, and it can make me cry. It can also heighten your sex drive. That's what they used in the Nexium cult. That's what the Nexium cult was using. What's the Quetzalcoatl? It's the plumed serpent. It's a sign of peace. Why would it be a sign of peace? Because birds and snakes both lay eggs. Did you know that? Of course you know that, because they told you dinosaurs. Stallonosaurus? What came first, the chicken or the egg? Me, Stallonosaurus. That's right. That is a treatment for a children's cartoon voiced by Sylvester Stallone called Stallonosaurus that teaches kids about dinosaurs. Kids love dinosaurs. They love it. I think you should be teaching kids physics and reality and stuff like that. But hey, if they're going to teach us that Americus Vespucci, they named America after him. They did not. They named it after the plumed serpent, who is the red man. You know Buffy St. Marie? She's not American Indian. She had to give some award she got back because she's not American Indian. Why? Why isn't she American Indian? Because they don't exist. That's why. They don't exist. Who's one of the biggest collectors of human DNA? Maury Povich. Maury Povich. All that stuff goes to a database. If you commit a crime, they already have it. Especially if you've been on that show. Right? Right? My father was taken out of our house by design, by a homewrecker, on purpose. He was taken out on purpose. There's other stuff that I know about my family. 3 witches. They're not witches. I'm a warlock. I'm a breaker of oaths. I break all oaths. If I've ever taken an oath, it is now broken. I am a master of the second veil. Right? That's why I call myself the inept adept. I'm the inept adept. Right? Everything I say goes into my properties for fodder, for creating dialogue. Everything on the show. My entirety of my being is going into the 2 properties, Linoleum Blown Apart and LA 2044. LA 2044 actually has to be written. I have to write it this year. It's got to be done. Because then you have 3 years for pre-production. Well, first year pre-production, 2 years to shoot it. And that's going to bring us to what? Right? 2028, somewhere in there. Okay? It's got to go right away, guys. Right away, right away, right away. What is a plumed serpent? It is a sign of peace. Why? Why is it a sign of peace? It's a peace sign. It's a symbol of peace. Quetzalcoatl. They put the lion, and then they put 2. I think that's called a Braxis. It's the lion above the 2 snakes. Okay? Right? Why is it a sign of peace? Why is the Quetzalcoatl a sign of peace? We come in peace. We come by the air, which fills the winds of the sail of the ship, is air. And what is a snake? There's snakes in the water, and there's snakes on land. Right? There's snakes in the water, and there's snakes on land. What do? The wind that carries the bird, the hawk, specifically, I got a picture of a hawk out there. I love hawks. I love seeing them. I'll catch them every once in a while. I love them. They're amazing. And you see them quite often. And by the way, guerrilla warfare, it's called sparrow warfare. It's not called guerrilla warfare. I repeat, it's not guerrilla warfare. It's called sparrow warfare. Okay? Who's the sinoculture? If you sin is the moon. Sin is the left side. Sinoculture is the Chinese. So wouldn't it be a sin to do something like them? Is that a sin? Why is it a sign of peace? Why is the Quetzalcoatl the sign of peace? And thank you for surfing the Eggyverse. I'll explain more about that. I'll explain more about my 2 properties. Oh yeah, you're going to see these on-demand series get made. That's why every day they can harass me out here as much as they want. It doesn't matter. Right? Doesn't matter. Right? Why is it a sign of peace? Because they both lay eggs. Snakes lay eggs. What kind of snakes lay eggs? The non-poisonous ones. Thank you very much for watching my show. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know.